Hi, and welcome to the next episode of Infinite Inspirational Chats. And today I've got Jaz Goven with me. Hi, Jaz.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I am excellent. I'm in Thailand, so I'm my time zone is we're going into dark and we're going into a big storm at the moment.
Oh,
Spooky.
oh, yeah. So, tell me about your journey, kind of how you got to where you're at now. I know we're going to get onto the Magical You cards, and hopefully the the fast track technique as well that you do. So we'll talk a
Hmm.
little bit more, but just tell me a little bit about your journey, like who you are, how you got to where you are now.
Well, I think like many people, I got on this journey because I needed help. I was a bit of a basket case, to be quite honest, and always been interested in things that were out of the box. So when I was brain scanned, and I thought there was something seriously wrong with me, and it turned out that it was just bottled up emotions.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah, and I was going to the chiropractor like 2, 3 times a week, and within 10 minutes of leaving the chiropractor, my body would go into shock or become very, very stiff, couldn't move. And of course, they thought there's something very serious wrong with me. But after tests and tests and tests and a lot of money, they sent me home with iron tablets and muscle relaxants. And I'm like, doing. So there must be something I need to do about this. And I started to investigate alternative therapies and totally got fascinated. And I began to understand that it was, that thing about being strong. Well, I was brought up like that. So I suppressed all of my emotions, my wants and needs, and thinking I was being strong and doing the right thing. Well, I was just a I was just a walking corpse, really. So I started to unravel that ball of string, and that took me on a very interesting path of healing, where I've owned, not owned, I've operated healing centers and all sorts of things like that.
Wow. Oh, that sounds absolutely amazing. So I'm guessing you've had quite a lot of experience of like different types, like styles of holistic therapies.
Oh, loads and loads. And I was very, very lucky because when I do something, I go, jump 2 feet in without really thinking. I think, well, that seems like a good idea. And so I thought, oh, okay, let me open a healing center. And this was in Bangkok in 2022. Yes. No,
Last year.
2000, no, sorry, 2002. And I thought it was a very good idea. I didn't have my own healing modality, but we were very lucky because Singapore and Hong Kong was very well established then for healing. And so it wasn't a big deal for people just to pop over to Thailand and come to my healing center. So we got some absolutely top-notch therapists, way more accomplished than really the center was almost deserved, because we were very new. And so it was my job to interview the therapists, find out what they did and match them with our database. So I got to experience everything, and I got to understand what I like, what worked for me. I believe everything works, Louisa, but I don't think everything works for everybody. We've all got our own ways, haven't we? And so I was very it was very easy for me to start to understand that what I like is simple, easy, powerful, and duplicable. So that's the name of my game.
Brilliant. Which led on, which one came first then? The fast track technique or the magical you?
Well, I became which simple, easy, and fun. And I discovered, or actually, EFT, emotional freedom technique, discovered me. NLP discovered me. And then I started to put these things together and become quite accomplished as a therapist myself. And but it wasn't long before I got a bit fed up, because it's like, well, why do I have to go here to do that and then go over here to do that? Why can't it all be in the same place? And so I decided, with totally without any ego, it's like, oh, well, I'll create a system that does all of it. And so I did. And that's called the fast track technique. And fast track is about, it really is a fabulous system, where we connect with the higher self, and we're guided through the fast track cards, 21 of them in total, to certain pathways where negativity is being experienced and still being remembered in the subconscious. So it's a fabulous, it's a system without boundaries, without limitations, because as I grow, it grows, and it just keeps expanding. And so I use that with my adult clients on a daily basis. But within that, what I started to recognize was that my adult clients were coming with adult problems. But when I would bypass the conscious mind, which is what we do in fast track, it would always take me back to early days, like before 7, 3, even back to the womb, or maybe karmic, past life stuff. So it became a no-brainer. Well, if you created one system for adults, you can create another one for kids, and help them before they get to 30, 40, 50 or older, and start to unravel that ball of string like I did.
Wow. Oh. And I enjoyed the cards because we played with them a little last week. So I have experienced them. I know how joyful they are, and easy to work with, I think. So you've said a little bit about like what people would come to you with, like what issues they've got. Can you just say sort of a little bit more? So what's kind of the problem that you solve, if you like?
Is this with fast track or with Magical You?
With both. So you can answer either one first.
Yes.
But I shall ask it about both.
Well, I think the fast track is I am being guided, pushed or shoved, whatever one you want to call it. And I'm doing a lot of work with expansion, awakening, and soul purpose. And what seems to happen for me, I think for many other people, is our clients are extensions of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So as I evolve, my clients evolve. And so currently the people that come to me now, they might not know they're waking up, but they definitely are. It's like there's something missing in their life. And I attract people with emotional issues. And that's because I'm a great big emotional issue myself. So I understand all of that stuff. Very, very sensitive. And so I believe that we do attract to us the people that understand, and we might be just like one step further on than them. So we can totally support them in their journey, because I'm on it. I'm on the same one.
And I'm guessing that as well with the same with the children that come, that they would have issues maybe with expressing emotion or knowing even what emotion it was that they were feeling.
Well, I chose when I was 21 to not have children, not because my parents used to beat me up or anything like that, just because nobody got me, nobody understood me, and they labeled me, and I'm like, well, okay, so that's how I am. And I didn't like my labels. I didn't like all the stories I heard about myself. And so I became a very withdrawn, lacking in confidence little girl. And that led me to, well, by the time I was getting ready to leave school, nobody had to tell me you're not good enough. I'd already worked that out for myself, and my programming was so in place. And I didn't need anybody else, because my programming went out in ahead of me to discover why I wasn't good enough and why I wasn't what people wanted. And so I think, you know, my whole of my journey, whether it's Fast Track or Magical You, it is about helping people discover who they are without the programming. And whether that's subconscious, whether it's cultural, it's like, you know, we're all amazing beings, but we get stuck in these cans of stuff, don't we? And it's like, let's break those cans open. So for children, the buzzword is, I'm sure you've heard, emotional intelligence, right? So when I created Magical You, I'd never heard of emotional intelligence. It was around, but I'd not heard of it. But the guidance just showed me what to do and how to do it. And so this is about children being able to navigate their own challenges based on how they feel about it, and not what somebody's telling them, whether people are being kind or they're coming from a place of wisdom. Nobody got me. And most people don't get the child that in the way that they are experiencing a challenge. So with Magical You, what is able to happen is the child is able to explore, discover, and make empowered changes about what to do with this thing that's bothering them.
And what sort of age group do you work with the Magical You cards?
It was designed originally for children of 4 to 12. I stopped at 12 because I thought that children of 12 might consider themselves to be a bit too sophisticated, and I'm not playing that kid's game. And so if they don't play it, it can't work. But we find now, I think the youngest child we've had playing was like 1 or 2, and the oldest is 93.
Oh, brilliant.
So it's you know, but originally it was designed for kids of 4 to 12, because age 4 they've got an attention span, and age 12 then I've always got Fast Track then, so I'll decide whether to use my Fast Track for them or to let them play the game. And I'm finding that also, you know, with these older kids, is that it's a great game that you can play by yourself and unravel your situation, or with a friend. And it's amazing for inner child work. So when I created it, was just for children, but now it's being used by all sorts of people for all sorts of different reasons.
Oh, love it. Yeah. So what kind of what would be the resolved thing? What would be the outcome? Like, how would the client, the child or the adult, know that something had shifted? What would that be experienced like, or what would that look like? How would they describe it?
Let's say for a child, it's just amazing, because kids, you know, they don't need to dot the I's and cross the T's, not like us, you know. It's like, well, when did that happen? You just watch them. You just watch the whole body, the face, everything changes. And it's like that, you know, they come in all, woe is me. And then it's like, bing, you know, type of ice cream. So you just watch this, and it's just like they've dropped a great big bag of garbage. They just dumped it over there and moved on without it. And they just feel it allows them to, they're unpacking their challenge.
Mm.
And when they have a challenge, most of us, we see it as a lump of stuff. So it's like lump of stuff. But when they start to play the game and they start to unravel and unpack, and when they do it from their own perspective, and we're just holding space for them, they're like, oh yeah, I get that. Oh, right. And there's another way to do it. And so they feel really empowered. And there's only one rule with Magical You, is that the child or the player always wins. And we're just curious on the adventure, holding the space while they do that. So with the children, you see them, you just see them change. We had one little boy who's 4 years old, who's special needs, severely special needs. And his mum just learned the first level. She was not experienced or anything, but he fell in love with the cards and he claimed them. And there was one morning, and she said, amazing. He went from a 10 meltdown and in 10 minutes was sat in the car dressed and ready to go to school, because he had the cards to use to communicate and to express himself.
Oh, what a gift. Oh, that's made me go all goosebumpy.
Yeah.
Well, that's definitely a difference.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
What a gift for both him and for his mum as well. And the school, I'm guessing, but definitely for...
Absolutely. And I think it is, is the parents. And this is one of the things that really bothers me at the moment. I live in Thailand, but I hear that in the UK, it's like a year waiting list to get your child to a specialist just to get a label. And how stressful is that for parents? I mean, it's awful for the children, but the parents have got the responsibility. They're handling all of that and feeling guilty, and then other children involved. So I think that Magical You can be a big support for those kind of people who are waiting to go and see a specialist and find out what's going on. Because as a parent watches their child change, they get to experience, they get to hear sometimes and experience what the child's actually going through, and they've never known that before.
Breaking barriers all the way.
It really does.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah. It's so what do you like, if we had a magic wand that we wave, what would be your, like, what would you love to be seeing in the world? How would you love it to be different? What would that experience be for you?
Well, on my bucket list is going to Africa. I'm taking Magical You to Africa, and just seeing more and more of those amazing smiling faces, with the big white teeth and the eyes and stuff. I would just love to take some magic and joy to those kids in Africa.
Oh. And I'm aware that it's there are practitioners in the world. I know you spoke to me. There's one, you've got some in Ireland. There's others in Thailand with you. Where else in the world are there currently?
Well, I have, I think, 3 or 4 or 5 trainers. And I've got, I don't know, I've trained 300 people or more in the first level. It's not difficult to learn at all. And so I would say that probably half of them are using the cards in some way, shape, or form. And it's not always the way that I've taught them. They can be used for vocabulary. They can be used in groups. So yeah, I have practitioners in KL, Australia, and Ireland, England, America, maybe somewhere else, can't quite remember. Oh, and here, me, here.
Yeah.
I'm in Thailand.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, I just love it. I think it should just be out there all over the place.
One of the little story, if I can just share it with you, and I'll support it with a card. And this is one of my favorite stories, and I can't even claim it, but just showing you here that this is our character. This is Magical You. Magical You has no color, no gender, on purpose. And You appears on all of the cards. They're in 4 different color sections. But we had one little boy, and he came and he did a session on anger. And most children, Louisa, have anger, and it's because they're not listened to. They're not heard. And so they get fed up and they bottle it all up. And, 1 minute it's being told, you're not old enough to do this. The next minute they're told, grow up. They're getting mixed messages all the time. So they do get very angry and frustrated. And so this was a young boy, and he did a session on anger with a therapist here. And they went and buried his anger at the bottom of the garden, which I thought was really novel. And the next week when he came back, he said, "Excuse me, miss," he said, "can we go and check on that anger?" He said, "because I think it's leaking." And so it brings another dimension, it gives a vocabulary to children to know that they do have emotions. They have positives, and they have what we call negative, and they're all okay when they are.
And they're all just emotions, aren't they? They're just energy moving.
Yes.
With some sort of thought behind it.
And I think it gives a very safe vocabulary. Once mom and dad have got the vocabulary of the cards and the kids have got it, they've got a very safe way of interacting with each other, rather than sounding critical.
Yeah. I know when we were talking through it, it's very other person led. So as a therapist, or as the parent, as the carer, the teacher, whoever's kind of guiding the game, if you like, or facilitating it, it's very led by the other. It's very permissive.
The hardest thing is when it is a therapist, and I'm a therapist, is for us to ask the child the question and then shut up.
Yes.
The cards do the work.
Yeah.
And this is why parents can get a lot of benefit from playing the game. We've got the answers and we know what we want and stuff, but it's that ask the question, let the child consider the cards. The external card matches the internal memory, and when those 2 things connect, they start to dissolve. And so it's not easy for us to shut up, but that's what we need to do.
Highly recommended. Yes. So I'm aware at the time, so I just want to say, if there's one thing that people could take away from today, from listening to us, having a chat about this, what would it be for you? Like, what would you like the thing to be?
Well, I think it is what we just said, is that anybody can help children. You don't have to be a professional. You don't have to be clever. All you have to do is to really get over yourself, get out of the way, and remember how to play.
Yes.
And when you do that, they get it. And, and children, they learn so much better when they're in a relaxed environment and when they are playing rather than being told what to do. So the more playful we can become. And the less we know about it, you know, one of the best comments when you play Magical You is, oh, that's interesting. Tell me more about that. And
Like the magic phrase, isn't it?
Yeah. And then like, what's this adult doing asking me questions and listening?
Yeah.
So I think that's the take home. It's like the whole family can play the game. And there is no need to have a professional, although professionals do use the game, and as well as teachers, etc.
Oh, brilliant. Well, thank you so much for being part of today on the Infinite Inspiration Chats. Absolutely. And sharing this phenomenal gifts, the Magical You and the fast track technique. So if people wanted to know more, I know I'm putting links in underneath as well, but just if you'd like to share, I know you offer discovery calls, and anyway, hand it over to you. You tell us.
Oh, thank you. So yes, with Fast Track, I have free Thriving Circle every month. Very powerful. I choose different topics that are interesting, and have people from all around the world coming for that. And it's a great way to experience Fast Track, to see if it fits for you, because not everything is for everybody. And free discovery calls about Fast Track or with Magical You, so we can just have a chat and see if it is a good fit, rather than jumping in with 2 feet and saying, oh, I better do a session. I much prefer to get to know somebody a little bit before we do that, and then they feel comfortable when they do decide to book a session. So with Magical You, I can work with children online. I can work with adults online, and also it's really great when you can just sit on the floor or on a yoga mat and spread the cards out and play in person. So it's www.fasttracktechnique.com, and it is www.magical-u.com.
And U is the letter, not YOU.
Exactly, yeah. And Facebook, I'm on Facebook, and a few of the other platforms.
Beautiful. Brilliant. Oh, excited. I just wanted to get it out there. So thank you very much for your time. I shall end the recording now, and I shall look forward to seeing or speaking to my next guest